Welcome to our AI Mastery Program, and this is specifically the black belt level for our ChatGPT Mastery. And at this level, we call our black belt participants inspired innovators. And in this video, I'm going to answer 10 of the most frequently asked questions that I hear at this level. So as a recap, you hopefully have seen our theory video. If not, I recommend you watch it before you listen to or watch the frequently asked questions. But here, as an inspired innovator, we are thinking to ourselves, I'm creating with AI, not just using it. And I believe at this belt level, the whole point is building the confidence to know that we are truly creating something with ChatGPT. We're not just regurgitating used information. So insight here, mastery means moving from optimization to pure creation. I'll talk about that in a little more detail. Clarity, we want to identify market gaps that only an augmented human can fill. And growth, we're going to build a tangible revenue generating product powered by our new skills. And at the end of this, you should be able to say, I can see the next product idea now. I want to build it and ship it fast. So as a reminder, just to share how far you've come, at stage 0, you started out as what we call an overwhelmed observer with absolutely no required skills in ChatGPT. Hopefully you took our foundations course and at least learned the basics. And then we work through the skills. And the reason we created this order specifically is that a lot of people just jump in and hope they sink or swim. We hope you swim, and we want you to swim confidently. So what we've done at every level is broken down the skills that I believe we need to learn and master before we can learn and master the next set of skills. So you've come a long way. If you're watching this video, you are at stage 8. The black belt inspired innovator. And at the end of this, you will graduate if you want, and you become part of our double black belt program, which was what we call the empowered advocate. Now, as always, every level is optional. You do not have to advance if you don't want to. You do not have to do anything you don't want to do. We invite you, if you like what we're doing, to join the dojo and move forward. So stage 8 is where we are mastering the skills and we're implementing it in our business. Stage 9 is where we're teaching others how to master those skills. So stage 8 is very advanced compared to stage 7. If you think about it, the first from stage 0 to stage 7 is foundational for stage 8. And once we have stage 8 mastered, it is easy to go to stage 9, the empowered advocate. So question 1, what's the boldest thing I could create with AI that no one else is doing yet? And this is a great question. You're going to look at it from the point of view of your business. What could you build in your business that no one else is doing? Now, before I get into that, I want to stop here and just explain my version of mastery. You've probably heard it before, but it's worth repeating. Mastery, in my view, is step 1. We need to learn the skills we need to learn in order to be confident and competent in a field. So by now, you've learned the skills to be confident and competent using ChatGPT. Second level of mastery is we should teach others and help them develop their own mastery. So you will just be sort of starting on the teaching side. However, we've given you some skills throughout every step of the way. You should be confident enough in what you know that you can teach others. And then the final thing of mastery is 2-part. We get into both optimization. So we are confident that we've optimized what we are or what we've done, and we're innovating. And so this is where we start to build that skill set or the muscle for innovation. And so believe it or not, I believe that the boldest thing anyone can create with AI is standard operating procedures and optimizing them for your business, for your industry. Now, that might be for your business directly, or it might be for your clients. But honestly, in my humble opinion, there's a lot of noise and very little leadership. So I believe that the boldest and the most profitable and lucrative thing is to teach others how to do what you need them to do to work together. So option A, you've optimized your business. Let's pretend it's an accounting practice. You've got systems and procedures in place. You are optimized. You're 100% confident. You have the best systems on the planet. You can teach other accountants how to optimize their accounting firms. Now, a lot of people go, well, I don't want to train my competitors. I disagree. You want to train people in your industry who get it and build a following. And for the record, you're not doing this for free. You can do it as a paid thing. But by leading and helping other accountants grow their practices and become better at what they do, you're effectively lifting the entire profession, which in my humble opinion is the whole point of a profession. The option B is once you've optimized your procedures and you've optimized onboarding, and I can rant about onboarding all day long. I personally believe it is the most often ignored or poorly executed step, and I equally believe that it is the most important one. So if you have a lot of problems with turnover or internal frustration, almost all of that can be fixed with onboarding. Now, onboarding might apply to your clients and it could apply to your employees. We're going to talk about it as it applies to clients. If you can figure out all of the steps, all of the things that are holding your clients back, all of the mistakes, the myths, the best practices, and you can create SOPs literally to help a client, first of all, select an accountant and then work with an accountant and get the best value out of working with their accountant, teach your clients that. Now, that might sound a little weird, a little esoteric, but if you teach your clients how to be better clients, they're going to love you for it, because whether you know it or not, if your clients are coming to you, it's because they're triggered in their nervous system. They are literally in fight, flight, or freeze. They got a call from the government and they're going to be audited. They panic. Have little guides to help your clients get through the little life changes that you know they're going to go through. And by the way, it's not that complicated. As an accountant, literally think from cradle to grave. What are the tax or business or financial implications of somebody getting married, having a child, raising that child, educating that child? What happens when they get older and they need to have succession planning? What happens when they die and they need to have estate planning? Or preferably the planning comes before the death. And then for the next generation, how do you take over a family business after mom or dad pass away or retire? So think about all the stages that accountants help their clients with. Just honestly, we do it because we care. I've met many accountants who put their clients first. All of those life events could be standard operating procedures, guides, what have you. And by the way, I guarantee at every stage, every problem they have, even things like, hey, you're being audited, or, oh, I need financing, or I'm looking to bring in an investor, or I'm getting venture capital, you can create little 10-question frequently asked questions documents and guide your clients. And by doing that, you're also going to get referrals from your clients, because they're going to share it with people, because let's face it, a lot of accountants know what they know and they're experts at it. They tend to not tell their clients until the clients need to know. Now, in my opinion, clients need to know long before we tell them they need to know. So it's good best practices to educate your clients. And by the way, if you can map out, it might sound extreme, but I build an onboarding process from cradle to grave. The day they conceive of their business, right up to the day they wind it up, sell it, wrap it up, whatever it is. I can add value at every step of that stage. They're never leaving me. And they're going to bring their friends and colleagues because most accountants are reactionary. They're dealing with tax deadlines, not helping businesses plan for the future. Question 2, how do I turn my workflows into intellectual property or licensed assets? Now, this is actually a really great question. And the way I see it, most people underestimate the value of their expertise. And what I mean by that is, especially in the world of professional services, when you have an hourly rate and you bill by the hour, you tend to mistakenly believe that your hours are what people value. Now, I don't want to burst your bubble, but nobody cares about an hour of your life plus or minus. So your clients are not buying a product from you called billable hours. What they're buying is peace of mind, how you help them achieve their goals, etc. So first and foremost, your hour is only worth to the client what value the output of that hour brings, not the actual input of the hour. Now, this is good news because people don't care about how much time it takes us to do things. They care about how the outcome affects their life. So we create things in my world. I call it a signature system. We can call it whatever you want to call it. But basically, if you create branded checklists, templates, frequently asked questions documents using your firm's branding, you can then give them out to your clients and say, feel free to share this with others. You can print them and therefore you can have them copywritten. If they're truly unique, you can trademark or even in some cases, you can patent workflows. I am not a lawyer, so I'm not going to pretend to know anything about that. And then earlier in question 1, we talked about option A, where you can train your other peers in your industry. You can license the assets to them. You can charge them a licensing fee. And as long as they're using your assets, your checklists, your templates, your onboarding process, what have you, they pay you a fee. So for me, this is wonderful because I'm no longer selling my time for dollars. I am bundling my intellectual property and I'm getting paid for it. Now, the cool part, a billable hour can only be billed once. Now, for the record, if you're Tom Cruise in the firm, that was the big problem. The firms were inflating their billable hours, but morally or ethically, an hour is an hour and you can only bill it once. However, if you use 1 hour, instead of billing it to somebody, but use 1 hour to create intellectual property, and again, technically speaking, the easiest intellectual property I know how to create is a question and answer document. Here are the 10 most frequently asked questions. Here's the document. Another one I like to do is, here are 3 myths that hold people back. Here are 3 mistakes that they make. And here are 3 best practices to move forward. So those are simple intellectual property assets. And when you invest an hour to build them, you can sell them almost to infinity. They're digital assets, they're PDFs, so there's no incremental cost. And the more people who buy them, the more they use them. As a really strange example and really practical, in the province of Alberta, where I reside, there is a company, I can't remember the name, doesn't matter. They sell guides to incorporating. And basically, it's a do-it-yourself guide that the average Joe on the street can use, or Jill, to go down to the registry's office and incorporate a business. It includes the checklists, and it even includes sample documents to be included in a corporate minute book. And basically, somebody built that once. I suspect it was a lawyer who did this for a living, and then they turned it into fill-in-the-blank templates. And now I'm going to guess that that individual lawyer or whoever built it has made more money off of the sale of the tools and templates than they ever did off of billable hours. So that's the goal, is to build assets that earn money while you sleep. And if I'm being really honest, the way I build the assets and the reason I build the assets is, number one, it helps my clients. Number two, it makes it easy for others to refer clients to me because they can share my collateral. Now, if you're going to half-ass it, you're going to get half-assed results. We are focusing on how do we add value to our client, so we're going to build high-quality materials. So we're going to, at the best of our time, give the best possible answer. And by the way, that can become part of our website content, marketing materials, etc. But we're going to give the best possible answer. And spoiler alert, if the public sees that you're answering questions, one of my favorite frequently asked is 10 questions you should ask an accountant before you hire them. By sharing the questions and giving guidance on what you think the answers should be, you become the go-to expert in that space because they know what your answers are. I'm going to be honest, most people aren't that good at answering, why should you work with me? I hate to say this, but a lot of accountants say we're fast, we're reliable, we're accurate. Who cares? Everybody says that. But if you say, here's my system, here's how I onboard you, here's what I do to help you, here's the planning we provide, then you start to stand out. So if all you do is compliance and you're telling people that you're fast and accurate, you are shouting into a void. Whereas if you can say, I do compliance, here's how I give you peace of mind so you can sleep at night, then you get to stand out a little. Now, question 3, what kinds of products, offers, or frameworks could I build that are custom GPT powered but human centered? And my default answer, and you'll love it or hate it, is all of your products have to be human centered. So the key, and this is where I have a lot of fun and I spend hours and hours and hours obsessing over this. I love building things. So let me explain. To me, common products are questionnaires, helping people answer the questions they need to answer to ensure that they have the problem that you solve, giving them clarity on their diagnosis so that they know what you do. So assessments, I have a 3-part assessment that I do for every project that I run. If you've gotten this far, you've probably seen my 3 assessments to gauge whether somebody can benefit from ChatGPT or not. The assessments are fun, they're powerful, and they're helpful. Now, I use the lens, and I hope you do as well. Everything I build has to add value to my client. So the assessments help them get clear on whether or not they have the problem, could I help them, and so on. So assessments are number 1. Then I create frequently asked question documents. And basically the idea is, depending on where they are, I want to help them understand where they need to go next. So a lot of frequently asked questions products. And by the way, when I say product, this could be audio, video, or written. And quite frankly, usually all of the above. My process, I start with, I record video, and then I turn it into audio and written from there. So the assessments, frequently asked questions, and then I create a series of courses, educational and entertaining content. So I have a combination of webinars where it's kind of helping people understand the problem. And then after the webinar, I'll usually have a master class. This is an example of a master class where I'm going to teach all the theory they need in order to do the thing they need to do. And then after the master class, I have a workshop where they come and it is a hands-on. And imagine the power of doing this with your clients. So for example, years ago, I used to do a workshop on how to put together a year-end file to give to your accountant. You'll notice that that's very, very selfish of me and very wonderful of me because I was trying to solve the problem of I got a bunch of random stuff and I'd spent all kinds of time. So what I learned to do was teach people, here's what you need to bring me, when and how, and so on. So in the masterclass, I'm teaching the theory. These are the things we need to do. In the workshop, we're teaching the applied practice of the theory. So from a workshop, for example, I do one on custom GPTs. At the end of the workshop, people are leaving with their first custom GPT built from start to finish. And then after the workshop, I have what I call group programs. And that's just an accountability program where we meet online at a regular frequency. And we're basically guiding them in applying the theory and the drafts from the workshop, and we're actually applying it into their business. So it's very practical, very hands-on, very, it produces some great results. And then above that, I have a mastermind program. And in that, we meet, and the idea is how do we help others? How do we grow our business? But basically, those are my core products. Now, things I do to supplement those core products, everything that I've created, every product is the foundation for a series of either books or workbooks. So what that does is it allows people who are more of a do-it-yourselfer kind of mode, they can follow along and they can do it themselves. And those books and workbooks are used in our group program and in our mastermind to help people actually master the tools. Now, offers, it's not that complicated. It's really just, here's what I'm offering. Here's my product. Who wants it? And I structure my offers as an invitation. There's no manipulation. Here's what it does. If you want it, let's talk. And then frameworks. This is where I think most experts could really have a lot of fun. If there's a certain way you approach things, a certain way you think of things, share your framework publicly. So I have several frameworks. One of my favorite is the Eliminate, Automate, Delegate. It's a waterfall concept where we identify the things in a business we should eliminate. Of the things we can't eliminate, then we identify the things that we should automate. And then last but not least, anything we can't automate, we identify what we can delegate. And the idea is if you eliminate, automate, delegate, using our other frameworks, your goal would be to free up 10 hours a week where you're eliminating non-productive, low-value, repetitive, monotonous tasks. And we then substitute back in 6 hours of highly leveraged, highly strategic activity. So the net savings in time is you walk away with 4 hours a week. You can get hobbies, spend time with friends, family, what have you. And we've switched from being tactical all day long to looking at strategic. And by the way, innovating and creating products is what I would consider fits into the strategic aspect of a business. Question 4, how can I blend my creativity with AI's precision to make something truly new? Great question. And this is where we get really, really down into the details. I have a framework, surprise, where we teach people how to go from ideation to validation to creation. So ideation, validation, creation. And what we do, we brainstorm, and I've talked about it in the theory session, but I will share it again here. We will brainstorm using a whiteboard or post-it notes and markers, whatever tools we have, where as a team, we will identify all of the things we could create as an example. So I've shared a bunch of products. You might want to brainstorm what are the most common asked questions my team gets. That actually is honestly my favorite starting point because you're solving real problems immediately. So as a collective, you brainstorm and everybody on the team contributes. Here's all of the questions we get answered. And what you do is you write it on a whiteboard or on Post-it notes, and then I take it and I take a picture, I upload it to ChatGPT, and I ask ChatGPT to help me look for patterns, trends, and so on. And it's wonderful because ChatGPT is really good at organizing things. So it can put your questions into categories, it can put it into business stages, whatever you want to do. And then the next step is, in this specific case, if you're using frequently asked questions, you're going to have your team, you're going to pick a few, you're going to assign, let's say the number is 10, maybe 3, I don't care. The key is you want your best people to answer the question, and have it spread around the team to make sure that everybody agrees this is the best possible answer. And then you can feed the question and the answer to your custom GPTs, and you can ensure it meets your brand guidelines, your brand, and you can use that to create amazing content. And spoiler alert, back in my days when I used to be a public accountant, I am no longer. I used to host a monthly workshop, and every month I would answer specific business related questions based on different aspects of a business in the life cycle. So I literally, in the course of a year, I would have 12 seminars, and I taught from incorporation all the way to wind up and repeat. And basically, I was 100% referral. And my accounting practice, I doubled it with high quality clients 3 consecutive years just by running nothing but workshops. And a little secret, if you do want to run workshops, I always invite my clients and I put a value on it. So I'll say, you know, this is a $50 ticket or whatever. Be legitimate, be sincere. And I'll print tickets. Yes, I used to do that, old school print tickets. Now you can have a website or something, but I liked physical tickets. And I would give them to my clients and I would say, here's an extra ticket, bring a guest. And the magic is, if you tell your clients to bring a guest, they're going to bring people like them. And those people are very likely good potential clients. So again, I like to make my accounting practice or whatever business I run 100% referral based. That's a great little tip. Question 5, what stories or philosophies can I share to inspire others to innovate responsibly? This is kind of a good and a strange question, and I will do my best to answer both aspects. So here's the secret. People buy based on emotion and they justify with logic. So I'm going to explain to you, I can give you the step-by-step, here's how to build this, here's how to build that. The reality is my stories about why I've done it and how I've done it will inspire you more than the actual step-by-step checklists. So the philosophy I approach above all is that I want to work with people I like. And if I like somebody as a client, I want to find ways to help them and add more value to them so that they, number one, appreciate me more, they pay me more, they stay with me longer, and they'll bring referrals in the form of people like them. And really, truly, like attracts like. If you've got great clients, and the key is you got to love them. If you don't love them, you don't want to clone them. So I always focus whenever I'm working with a business, I challenge the owner and I say, who are your top 10 clients today? And then what we look to those 10 clients is to identify ways we could serve them better and add more value to them. So my underpinning fundamental foundational philosophy is, if it doesn't add value to my client as they perceive it, I don't build it. So everything I do, I build from the perspective of what would somebody value. So as an example, I taught the theory, created the theory for my digital dojo, And then I started getting questions. And I realized that the questions were an opportunity for me to help others. So then for every theory video you see in the digital dojo, you will also see a frequently asked questions or common questions video. So basically, first product meant to help educate and entertain and inform. Second product is meant to fill in some gaps. And by the way, there's a third, which is the actual physical walkthrough where I will sit with my screen up and I will build something in front of my audience. I do that for my paid people in my live sessions. And basically, we go from theory, we answer the questions, and then we get into the practical application. So that's how I innovate. And really, I don't have to worry about much else because my guiding light, my North Star objective is to add value to my customers. And I know almost immediately if I've done that because they will either reach out and say, thank you for creating this, or they will ask, what else do you have? So that's my goal, is to add value at every step. Question 6, how do I prototype and test new ideas quickly without overcomplicating things? Now, there's testing and there's overcomplicating. I'll address both of those. I've already shared my little framework about where we ideate, or we have ideation, and then we have validation, and then we have creation. Do not skip one of those at your own peril. So under ideation, we are brainstorming, and going to be honest, the fastest and easiest way to brainstorm is to reach out to your clients and say, is there any issues that we could help you with that you'd really value? A lot of people, and I promise you're probably going to be one of them, they will hear that and go, ew, I'm not asking my clients how I can help them. My answer is, why wouldn't you? It's basic human communication. Ask your clients, what do you think we could do for you that we aren't already doing? Now, for the record, they might not have an answer, or they might be vague or fuzzy, but what we're looking at is, first of all, we're building the relationship by saying, how else can we help you? I've never had anyone offended by that question. Now, as I said, sometimes they're vague, they're unclear, they're confused, and they might say, I don't know, can I think about it? Yes, please. And basically, a lot of people won't do this because they don't want to hear what they're not doing well. They want to hear, yay, you're amazing. Well, secret, if you solve more problems, they'll stay with you longer and pay you more money and bring you referrals. So honestly, that's my first thing. We'll call it market research if you like. You can do surveys. Personally, I just pick up the phone and ask them. And by the way, most professionals only call their clients when there's a problem. So if you're calling saying, just checking in, clients appreciate that. So again, I start with the premise that there's probably friction points, frustrations, things I can do to help my clients. And then once I gather that information, I will reach back out and say, hey, I was thinking about what you said. We are creating X product, and X product could be a worksheet, a template, a checklist, a workshop, a masterclass, whatever. Do you think that would be valuable in helping you solve your problem? And really, it's that simple. So once you've got the idea, then we're validating, and that's where we're talking to actual people. Some people want to post it on social media. Some people want to send an email blast. I personally would rather pick my top 10 and call them. Number one, it's a great reason to reach out. Number two, they'll usually appreciate it. And number three, you're opening the door to more conversations. Now, overcomplicating is easy to do. What I love about ChatGPT in particular is you can apply filters. I use the Pareto principle, and I also use a test from the book Obvious Atoms by Robert Updegraff. I think it's called the test for simplicity or test for obviousness. Basically, what I want is the absolute bare minimum thing, whether it's a course, a video, whatever it is, the bare minimum thing that solves the problem elegantly, cleanly, and simply. And by the way, I create custom GPTs that speak in the avatar, the voice of my ideal clients. Um, I use that not to validate and avoid the clients. I use it to ensure that the language sounds right. I'm not complicating it with jargon. It will actually call me out and say, Jeff, I don't know what you're talking about here. Simplify. So there's a lot of power in custom GPTs, and this allows us to simplify. So we'll get there. Now, question 7, basically what we're looking to do is, how do I stay original when AI makes it so easy to imitate others? Okay. This is the massive elephant in the room, and I want to come back and talk about this. Large language models, by default, are calculating the next word to use, the next word, and no matter what you do, you can either be, the way I see it, you're either below average, average, or above average. Picture a bell curve with the big curve in the middle is average, and the outliers are the below average and above average. Everything you do, ChatGPT and other large language models, is attempting to get back to average. So you can mimic others, you can imitate others, but over time, ChatGPT is always giving you an average answer. So what we do, and we practice this a lot in the dojo, we identify our voice, we identify our frameworks, we identify mental models, whatever it is that drives what we do, and then we ensure that everything we create is based on us. Now, this is my fundamental problem with large language models. People actually believe that they're creating something new when they don't put any thought into it. And this should not apply to you by the time you get to the black belt. But if somebody goes in and says, hey, ChatGPT, write me an SOP for how I can write SOPs, you're going to get a very average answer. But if you go in and say, ChatGPT, here's what we're currently doing, how do we optimize this, you'll get a very different answer. So the key is recognize that everything you do in ChatGPT, the model is designed to calculate and come back to average. So we build custom GPTs that have a different goal. It's got clarity on our voice, our brand, our frameworks. So everything we do is based on our frameworks. Now, the key is if you edit and you have the final say, I always tell people, let GPT do 80% of the work. The human still has to finish the final 20%. So you are the adult in the conversation. You're going to hold it accountable, and you're going to make sure that it delivers a unique and original output that is consistent with your brand. Now, I see this all the time. There are TikTokers out there, YouTubers. They will say, here's how I made $1 million writing books and selling them on Amazon. And I'm not kidding. They would literally go into ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, write me a book I can sell on Amazon. And ChatGPT will oblige. Now, spoiler alert, there's going to be nothing unique, original, or even mildly entertaining in that book because it's a generic, bland prompt. It's like cooking everything using one ingredient. Everything's going to taste like that one ingredient. Now, you, as the expert, we're working based on your expertise. We're creating content within your field of expertise. We want to know what your secret ingredients are. You know, we're looking for your combination of 11 herbs and spices that makes your recipe unique. And that's where your thoughts come in, your frameworks, your models. And once you start to build out your models, your content becomes more and more like you, and it becomes more original. And that's the goal. Is we want to add value to our clients. We're not going to do that by mimicking others. Question 8. What's the best way to showcase my AI-enabled innovations to build thought leadership? Now, I'm a firm believer in the power of actual thought leadership. Now, as you can guess, there's two things in thought leadership that we need to consider. Number one, thought. We need to have thought something and have a thought worth sharing. And number two is leadership. Again, we need to create content that is uniquely us and that we are leading others around us. Now, a fundamental in assumption in thought leadership is, who are we leading? So that is my number one. If you can't say with 100% certainty, who do you serve and what do you do for them, nothing else we create matters. So I will rant and rant and rant all day long. Believe me, just ask my clients. If I don't say perfect prospect persona at least 10 times in a conversation, they think I've missed the boat. Everything we build is built to add value to our ideal client. Now, in the marketing world, they call it an ideal client profile or a client avatar. In my world, we have a custom GPT named Patricia. She builds perfect prospect personas. And in that, we're identifying the fears, frustrations, wants, and aspirations of our ideal client. And then we're building things to either alleviate their fears, take away their frustrations, help them achieve their wants, and guide them towards their aspirations. So here's the secret. If you genuinely care about your audience and you want to solve their problems, you will become a thought leader. Now, my other thought on this, if I may, is people have called me a thought leader before. It's a label, I believe, that has to be given to you, not taken. And what I mean by that, I know people that say, look at me, I'm a thought leader. If you have to say it, it's not true, or it's not likely to be true. Now, I say, I have an idea. If you like it, follow me. If someone else calls me a thought leader, I will not argue with them. It's just not a label I consider. Now, the other reason I don't like the label thought leader is it kind of implies that I'm leading and I have nothing new to learn. So I am a thought leader in some spaces and a thought leader in others, a thought follower in other spaces, because I want to expand my knowledge. Now, one of the things I'm seeing right now, there's a lot of garbage out there about how to use ChatGPT, and almost all of it, somebody went into ChatGPT and said, ChatGPT, how can I get rich using you? And then they share that as wisdom. And really, truly, if you're an adult of any experience in life, you know that the wisdom we earn is worthwhile. The wisdom we borrow from others doesn't stick. So true thought leadership, in my opinion, is understanding who you serve and helping them understand their problems better than they did before. That's kind of the fundamental. Do they have the problem? How do they understand it? And then once they understand the problem, what are the solutions and which solutions apply to them and when? And honestly, if you can help people understand their problems and choose the right solutions, they'll love you for it. Now, I always build things. I always have three options. So I have a do-it-yourself product, which, for example, you can watch all of my videos for free on YouTube. That's do-it-yourself. I then have a done-with-you product where in our digital dojo, we work together and we collaborate and we will play and we will test and we will practice. You'll leave knowing how to solve your own problems, and I've taught you how to solve them going forward. The other option, this is always my top tier, and this is one I love to play in, is a white glove done for you service. So if you've watched some of these videos, you might look at it. I get people all the time say, Jeff, I don't want to build custom GPTs. It feels like work. Would you do it for me? Absolutely. Now, I'm a firm believer. I love the quote, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. I would rather teach people how to fish, i.e., use and master ChatGPT, than be dependent on me for being fed. So personally, I build products that help people and I give them a choice. You can do it yourself, you can do it with me, or I can do it for you. But the key is I educate them on why they're going to pick which option and when, and I give them the agency to say which works for you. And by the way, I am equally happy. Actually, I'm probably happier when they say, Jeff, I don't have this problem. Thank you. I don't need your help. Yay. Okay. Question 9. How do I ensure my creations scale without losing their soul? Now, really, truly, this is a seed question. I put it in because I feel like it should be asked, and I'm going to be honest, it isn't. A lot of people talk about scale, and I assume if you come to me and you want to scale, I assume that you want it to still fit your goals, your values, your vision. If that's not the case, we don't need to work together. But really, truly, everything we build, I actually have a branding guide, and don't judge me, but I call it a soul doc. It is the soul document, and basically, it has the core objectives for our business. This is what we believe. This is what we stand for. We will never violate these principles. And then it's got the brand as to who I serve. So very detailed on my avatar, my perfect prospect persona. And then it's got my value driven statement that my clients must perceive what I build to have value. And basically, I then start to refine that document by sharing how people have expressed how they receive value from me. And basically, that's how we keep the soul in what we do. So, the fundamental secret here is everything we do is designed from the perspective of fall in love with our customer and solve all of the problems we can for them. So when I innovate, it's not about necessarily generically, how do I grow my business? It's always about how can I add more value to more people? Now, I have done this my entire life, more or less by accident or by intentional design, whatever it is. But when I read The Go-Giver by Bob Burg and John David Mann, the 5 laws of stratospheric success really resonated with me. And in those laws, it's more or less the better we serve others, the more value we create. Therefore, the more value we receive and get paid. Question 10. How do I prepare to mentor others in this next wave of creative intelligence? This is actually where we have the most fun in the digital dojo. I absolutely love helping people find their true voice. Now, for the record, if you've been trained in any field, you're going to have a lot of noise in your head. And what I mean by that is you're going to have the how-tos and the checklists and the templates and the legal requirements. There's a lot of noise. But somewhere in that noise is your unique voice. And somehow, if you're at all successful in a profession, you have a way about you, you have a language, a style where you are good at communicating uniquely to your audience. My particular skill, I can find a metaphor that applies to almost any business in any industry because I've read a lot, I've learned a lot, I have a lot of metaphors. Another one is I love mental models, I love frameworks, so I can see a framework in almost anything somebody gives me. And if I can't see it immediately, that's an indication that it's probably too complicated or too generic. But what I love to do is sit down with people and identify what's unique about them. And that's the key. You're not teaching people how to imitate you in the business. You're not teaching them all of the things you know about that particular field. You're teaching them how you communicate it. And this is where we can have a lot of fun. We can build a lot of value. So I really encourage you to learn how to mentor others. And that's really what we cover in the black belt stage of the Pharos Digital Dojo. Now, if you're at this point, I hope you've gone through, use this as a checklist. We've made our white belt program free. And the reality is, this is where people are learning, is ChatGPT for me? And I'd rather help people understand it and decide, yes, it is for me, or no, it's not, rather that than let them figure it out themselves and maybe waste some time and energy in the process. Now, as you level up, every level in the Digital Dojo is optional. You can stay where you are, or you can choose to move ahead. We don't allow people to move ahead until they've demonstrated mastery at that level. And what mastery looks like is the confidence to do the things, and they have the skills they need to do them. So it's all about confidence. If you're not confident, we don't move you ahead. We don't even offer that you move ahead. If you're ready to move ahead, you will tell us, not the other way around. You tell us. Now, having said that, if you ask questions about a level that you're not at, we're going to tell you to focus on the level you're at. So this is where iron sharpens iron. And the reason our investment goes up is you're getting more value out of it, and the group is going to add more value to you as you get more confidence and experience. And at the top end, once somebody is ready at the Inspired Innovator, the black belt, and our double black belt, the investment is $1,000 a month. And the reason it's at that level, we don't charge more. We could. We know for a fact that you're getting at least a 10 times return on investment. So you're generating at least $10,000 a month in new revenue because of the work we've done together. And we don't charge more because we also are teaching you how to help others, which benefits us. So basically, we start low so everybody can get in and test, and we capped our revenue, our top investment, because we want it to be a community where everybody is incentivized and motivated to give back. So if you'd like to learn more, visit us at pharosbusiness.com/digital-dojo. Thank you.